years now, Lane, right?
Yeah. Through the seven-figure agency group, I think is when we first met for sure. Great to be here with you.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on the show. Lane is special. I got to spend some time with Lane this past September, a few weeks ago, and we really got to talking on that boat we were on, Lane, one fine Florida afternoon. And Lane's got an amazing story. Lane's running two agencies, and they're both focused on digital marketing agencies. So it's very similar to what we do at RepStack. We work with digital marketing agency owners, and you are doing the same thing. And I believe both with both your agencies, right? Signal Genesis and Quantum Agency Lane, both are focused really in helping out agency owners.
That's correct. Yeah. Signal Genesis is a software platform that we built for other agencies. And so that's a web presence SEO digital PR software platform that we specifically built for digital marketing agencies to leverage for one or all of their clients. And then Quantum Agency is our white label fulfillment agency. In 2019, I transitioned our fulfillment team from serving only our generalist agency team. Up until that point, I had run my own agency serving other
Hmm.
businesses, and it was a generalist agency. And in 2019, after we launched our software focusing on agencies, I transitioned our whole agency team into a white label niche to serve
Hmm.
other agencies on the fulfillment side. So now today, my entire world or day, professionally at least, is focused on helping other agencies grow, scale their agencies through some specific solutions that we provide through the two different companies.
That's excellent, man. How is the size like in terms of Signal Genesis? How many users or agencies are using you guys' services? Is there a free version you guys start out with? Maybe walk us through that particular side of the business.
Yeah, on Signal Genesis, we have a little over 2,000 users. I believe today. I don't have the exact number, but we're at about 2,000, give or take, agencies. So, what that translates into is probably 15 to 20,000 businesses. I'm not exactly sure.
Nice.
That they have in the platform, that are using it for, on some level, their SEO campaign, web presence campaigns for their clients. So yeah, that's we've seen pretty good growth in the last year and a half for 2 years for sure. It's been kind of steady growth. We haven't seen the hockey stick growth of a software platform yet, but that's coming very
Hmm.
soon. We've been plugging away at some very critical things in the platform. Some are just foundational that our users won't see. Some are more feature focused that our users will definitely benefit
Hmm.
from. But I'm expecting that hockey stick growth to happen probably Q1, Q2 next year.
Nice.
I was aiming for Q3, Q4 this year, but as software goes,
Yeah.
we've had some delays. When Google makes a change in their API or when Stripe makes a change to their platform, oftentimes it's unannounced, and our whole team just has to kind of turn and uh,
Hmm.
work on something that was unplanned in the dev cycle just because of other dependencies we have. But yeah, we're really
That's
close to
amazing.
that hockey stick growth, that you hope and dream for, when you launch a software company.
I think that 2000 is still like a solid base that you got going on. Like, you got to understand that if you're focused on the agency world, then, look at high level, like they're at 17,000 users right now. So, you're not too far away from there. So, congratulations on Signal Genesis Lane.
Thank you.
And then what about Quantum Agency? So, this kind of simultaneously started out, you switch your niche over to servicing other agency owners, and looks like with Signal Genesis, you have access to a good chunk of them who are agencies. So, is there some cross selling going on there as well? Talk to us about Quantum Agency and how it's doing.
Yeah. That's really kind of a good insight there. Yeah, so Quantum Agency, well, I'll just a quick give you the backdrop. In 2010, I started my own agency. I left the financial industry after the crash. I wanted to get away from it. I wanted to try and build, a new career that would allow me to spend more time with my boys and my family. Being in finance, it was 9 to 5, but it was also in the sales and business development side of finance. So it was, more of a rat race.
Hmm.
I wanted to spend more time with my family and my boys, be able to kind of work from anywhere, not be chained to an office like you are in finance oftentimes. And
Hmm.
so in 2010, I decided, I'm going to get into the marketing side and decided to launch the agency as an agency model. I chose the agency model. It was hard. I mean, unfortunately, I didn't have some of the resources and masterminds that are out there today.
Is this back in 2000 that
Yeah,
you started this
2010.
journey?
2010.
2010. Gotcha.
Unfortunately, I hadn't met Josh Nelson and his 7-figure group yet. So I didn't know, even the whole idea of niching as an agency was just foreign to me. I just launched an agency and said, I'm going to start doing websites and SEO. I learned a lot myself, taught a lot myself, but I had built other businesses. So I very quickly turned to hiring the skill sets and the expertise that I needed in, web development, SEO, PPC, whatever. I didn't want to do it all myself. So I was really trying to build a business, not just build a new job for myself where I was kind of my own boss. So, I was successful at building it. Generalist agency. The one thing I will say is it was great preparation for running a white label agency. Not knowing it, because we just dealt. I got all of my business in my traditional agency. I built it mostly by referral. Just had a big referral network, continued to build a bigger referral network.
And you mainly worked inside the local city. Where are you based out of, Lane?
Yeah, just local areas. Although I had some networks outside of the local area, so I had clients in different places besides my local area. But the majority of my business was local based.
Gotcha.
In Florida, in the Tampa area.
Tampa is beautiful out there.
Yeah, so I built basically a 7-figure agency, just building a generalist agency on referrals, and then some. We got better and better at our own SEO and marketing.
That's huge, man. That's amazing. You're just kind of walking over that interesting story, that huge nugget that most of us dream of building, especially in our generalist days. Before investing in coaching and stuff like that, you're able to build an agency which is already a 7-figure in your local market, building a reputation and a brand and getting some work done. How big of a team were you able to build out for this particular agency?
Well, so when we transitioned in 2019, it was Q1 2019, because we had just launched Signal Genesis, which back then when we first launched was Quantum Newswire. My team was, I think, maybe, I'm just spit shouting here, but it was about 12 to 15 people.
Okay. And how much is it now with the Quantum agency?
We're at 25.
Nice.
Yeah. So
amazing.
We've grown a lot in the last 3 years, just with the white label side and really getting into that niche. Again, I think being able to focus on a niche where all of your efforts, all of your mindset, everything, your marketing, everything is focused on serving a specific niche of people. For us, it's agencies, right? And so it made a lot of sense to me. It just clicked. I was kind of do a lot of planning in the holidays between at the end of the year, and in 2018 we had just launched Quantum Newswire, now Signal Genesis, and I was trying to think what am I I need to combine my worlds. I don't want to build two companies and have them be so different focus. And it just clicked. Hey, we just need to be a white label agency. We've done the generalist agency so well. I've got this team. I've figured out how to hire and train and run a team abroad that's all virtual. Which that took 5 years, no doubt. Learning how to just hire abroad, proper way, find good talent, and then how to run a team virtually. How to have an ops manager, project manager that could really oversee the team, just figuring all that out, building the systems. That was a 5-year journey without any doubt.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, man. And just before we move into the nitty-gritty of how you run your day-to-days on your agencies, I want to go back to 2010. So in 2010, so since 2010, you've really been working from home for yourself?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
So, in all honesty, I've worked a lot from the road. Not that I traveled a lot for my business. My boys both play hockey. And
that's living the dream, Lane. That's amazing. And that's what I want to, bring attention to, that aspect as well, right? Because so many of us start these things because we have a greater purpose, and I've seen you with your boys. I know you guys are just, into things and doing things all the time, which is amazing, right? So I think something like this gives us all that opportunity. And I did something similar back in 2011 when I, started working from home full time. And that was kind of the basis of starting out this whole thing. Like, hey, I want to be able to do it on my own, and being able to travel and stay back home to start a business for 10 months, for example. And just like I told you,
To
going to
Greece.
Greece.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's very exciting, man, and I'm glad that we can connect on that point. Now, in terms of so you got these two brands going on, and you're really focused on the agencies and working with agency owners. And just before we dive into how you market to them, and I think you're really word of mouth, kind of, your or a lot of your growth is organic. So I
Yeah.
would want to talk about that. But before we go into that, what's like, are you fond of working with the agency owners? How's that experience
I love it.
been? That's a
Yeah.
different set of people, man.
It is. It is. I actually really like it. Like I've had some people actually I met. I forget who I was talking to in Tampa a few weeks ago when we were down there, but they were like, "Man, I don't know how you can handle working with a bunch of agency owners." And I was like, "No, I love it, man. I love working with agencies. That's just I think it's kind of where I feel really comfortable. I think I feel that way because I've had well, now it's been 13 years of just deep dive experience into the agency world.
Mm,
I know an agency owner's pains. I know what can drive more success. I just know a lot of the ins and outs because I've lived it, I've breathed it, I've built one myself. We still
mm,
have our white label agency. Um,
mm,
that helps, certain types of agencies who are looking at to outsource, versus insource. And
mm.
so yeah, I just because I've lived it and breathed it, I can help agencies because I understand their world.
Hmm. Yeah, I think, and you and I are both alike on that side as well, because I've been an agency owner as well for the last 14 years. My generalist agency is still operational here in Calgary, and over the course of last 12 years, for sure, it's been like, lesson after lesson, how to kind of, work with remote teams, and make sure that you're still generating a profit and still being able to live a really good lifestyle while my and different people are different, right? Like, for example, my journey was a little different. I was never able to build a seven-figure agency on my own. However, I was the only employee in Canada, and my teams were based. I was working with, basically, I should have worked with a company like you, but I had a whole bunch of different contractors, right? So that would have been the next logical step for me, where and my camera's kind of acting up. I think it's the sunlight, but what so in that particular journey, I think a person like you and an agency like Quantum Agency and then Signal Genesis plays a huge role, because instead of me going through that journey, a 12-year journey, and figuring out everything myself, you know I should be able to come over to Quantum Agency and just, from day one, have things
Plug
already
in. Yeah.
in the hands of the professionals, right? Because I've had those nights where the servers have gone down, and all the websites are down and things like that, and and then putting those systems in place, and painful, man. So yeah, so I feel that I think this is a great service that you're doing. We work with agency owners as well. We work with so many of them, and it's amazing talking to these people, looking at their journeys, what they're doing, and as they build their businesses, them getting closer to their families, and then they're building out work families and inclusive work families. Lane,
Yes.
that's what I love about you, man. That you got you build this business out, and you got a global team basically connected around these seven-figure agencies. So let's talk about that a little bit, and find out, like, how do you get customers? Because agency owners, it's a difficult customer to get to. Like, how do you continue to grow? What's your marketing strategy like?
So marketing strategy to date has been lots of organic growth through leveraging online channels like Facebook, Instagram, and just a lot and other marketing masterminds and groups. Years ago, I read the book The Go Giver. I don't know if you ever heard of that book, but it's a great book, and it talked about the law of compensation, and how the law of compensation states that your your net worth is directly tied to the amount of people that you help, or your income is directly proportional to the amount of people that you help. And that really stuck with me, just that simple concept of, that the more people that you can touch, the more people that you can help, the more you'll be compensated. Not always, not always or necessarily just in dollars or in money. It's sometimes you're compensated in other things, like, just, the feelings you get when you do something good for somebody, or when you helped an agency owner really get unstuck from something and be able to launch into a new chapter of growth for themselves. Or there's lots of different things that don't necessarily that compensate us besides just purely money. But that's become my goal, is just to help as many people, touch as many people as I can in the industry, and solve problems. I mean, that's really
amazing,
how we've been growing. Is I just try to solve agency problems, and I offer out our help. So the majority of our growth to date in the white label side has been me getting into agency groups and going deep with just trying to offer my help and be a resource, and solve problems.
Yeah, and I know you're really great at that, just helping people out without even asking anything in return. And I think that's it's easier said than done.
It
It's
is.
it feels like that, it's a aha, like, it's that, but and you're proof that you've been able to build out these amazing seven-figure agencies based on this strategy. But like, what's like, like, how do you just consistently do this? Are you the only person doing this, or do you have a team helping you out with this as well, or how does that, or and does it also helps to identify the groups that you should be part of?
Yeah. So, good questions. I have recently hired a new kind of, I call VP of Agency Partnerships. Steve, you may have met him in
Yeah,
Tampa.
I met Steve.
So yeah, Steve is now on the team, and I'm trying to turn over all of our sales processes and that I've been doing myself to date. My business partner Matt has done some sales. He does some, but he's focused more on the technology and running Signal Genesis, which is a full-time job unto itself. So sales really is in my corner. I've done it all myself up to this point. But I know I've reached, my max. Like, we're not going to grow more as an agency, as a software company, if I don't somehow get out of the way and get other people in place. So that's what I'm in the process of doing, that actively, for both companies. We've also, so I learned early on, before I even started my agency, back when I was in finance, I spent a year with a man named Marshall Thurber.
Okay.
And Marshall was a direct mentored student of W. Edwards Deming, and also Buckminster Fuller, who are two very different types of people. But he had the unique privilege of being mentored by both of those gentlemen, who are world renowned. And I learned something from Marshall that year I spent with him. It was just, it sounds stupid, but it's the concept of leverage, but not just financial, not in the financial sense, but he taught me the power of leveraging networks, and the power of network science. And so in my agency business, I leveraged networks, and that meant finding hubs we might call them influencers today, but they're really hubs of networks. Like, if you look at it from a node and, networking, kind of visual, these massive hubs, which are oftentimes people, sometimes they're associations, sometimes they're companies, sometimes they're just, groups or masterminds. But I have, in all of my businesses through the years, I have always leveraged network science and found network hubs to build relationships with, to add my value into their hub, into their network or group. And through that process, growth just happens, right? You get exposed to that network when you go into to add value and to do it not necessarily expecting compensation in return.
So I think you plan it out first. You figure out who are these groups and coaches you want to be working with. Like you said, I think Dennis Yu has a similar concept that we're working on as well. He's got various spokes and hubs, and you
Yes.
identify the nodes,
Yes.
and then you do everything in your power to become a part of their groups and things like that. Does that
Yes.
also involve, Lane? Does that involve sponsoring some events as well? Has that worked out for you at
Yes.
all? How's that experience?
100%. Yeah. It's resulted in sponsorships. It's resulted in memberships in groups. It's resulted in speaking and just or adding value teaching into groups.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, network science is really this concept that I learned. It was back in I think in 2006. It was really to me. It just was kind of like one of those aha moments where I was like, wow,
yeah,
I get that. Like that has many applications in business and
yeah.
personal and social and nonprofit worlds, all sorts of different applications.
And that's it's so amazing to see, like you, and we've taken a path as well. We've taken a sort of a different path towards our marketing, which has been, we were lucky enough to, like, we were talking, start out with joint ventures, so that gave us the, proof of concepts and things like that. And then we really started spending heavily on marketing, building out our own funnels and stuff like that. Right, and we've been kind of doing similar to what your strategy, but it's been just, we haven't been like really focused on it, right? So just imagine you're at a point where you're able to really go and buy growth now, just by continuing to identify these networks that you need to be able to be part of, and be in and become be in front of your target audience, like at all times. Like, this is hyper focused groups, right? You're like in perfect conditions, and then you can do small things like sponsoring an event here,
Right.
and
Right. Yep.
just helping people out continuously throughout the year. So I think it's worked out great. It's a strategy that you've used successfully to build these businesses, and but there's a couple of ways to skin a cat, right? Like, we went a completely different direction, and I'm looking at this method and I'm like, how did we miss this, right? And so that's amazing, Lane. I think that's an eye opener for so many of us. Start out the right way from day one, and I think that's an amazing marketing strategy for anyone who's listening.
Yeah, and there's no doubt that we need to add more channels. I'm actively focused right now on just doing more now on Facebook and Instagram. I'm doing it against my will because I don't really. I'm so tired of Facebook as a platform and how difficult
Yeah.
it is to work in their environment. But for our target audience is in Facebook. I mean, as agencies, so
Hmm.
we're actively working on building out that channel now because we're. But I've taken several years to really go deep on the partnerships, the distribution channels, the relationships, um,
Hmm.
adding value, and also just starting and also have focused. I think no, I think I know within that process of going deep into groups and masterminds and sponsorships and
Hmm.
distribution hubs. I've also simultaneously worked on just building my preeminence in the space, my positioning as an expert in my area, and um,
Hmm.
and so just building my omnipresence in the industry, and I need to
Hmm.
continue to do that. Being guests on different podcast episodes, things like that. I've just worked on getting my visibility. That's the word I was looking
Yeah.
for. Really, by
Yeah.
building my visibility and building my positioning as an expert in the industry, while simultaneously adding value and going deep on relationships.
Hmm.
That has worked really, really well. But with any channel, you can get to a point where it's time to also add in new channels, and so we're
Yeah, I feel that you have this, like, the core of your marketing, the crux of it is like really well defined. It's built on true human intuitions,
mhm.
hyper focused pockets of your the ideal clients, and then going on and doing certain things with these groups, which is amazing. So amazing work, Lane. So let's move on to really quickly to your sales processes. Looks like you were kind of taking care of sales. How does that process look like? How do you pitch a client and close a deal? Do you have anybody helping you out on the sales side, or is it
Yep.
just you?
Yeah, no, so I have Steve now, obviously working, and he's doing really well. He got up to speed really fast. I was, proud of how quickly he kind of caught on to it. But our sales process is typically It's a little bit different with agencies. It's really just relationship building. There's no like hard close that I have with an agency. It typically starts out with, a Zoom meeting where they have some questions, or uh, I meet with any agency owner, because typically if they're a serious agency owner, they're either going to fit into our, we can help them with quantum agency and our fulfillment, or if they have their own team and they're doing their own thing with their own team, then Signal Genesis is a great platform to help their SEO be more efficient, get better results, and add more value into their clients. So usually one way or the other, they're going to be a really good potential fit for us. But it starts out just by we do an initial Zoom meeting. We'll answer questions, determine what the needs are, and then either just determine, are we a good fit on quantum agency side, or are we a better fit on Signal Genesis? And in some cases it's both, and in some cases it's neither. But it really, to me, it's a little bit different than when I'm working with a business, where I'm really looking at, they're trying to evaluate, am I going to spend money today with this agency or that agency? And we're looking at, we need SEO and PPC, and there's a little bit more of a process to close them. With agencies, we're really building more of a relationship and letting them know, we're here as a resource when you're ready to engage us with, one or more of your clients, if it's quantum agency.
That's pretty smooth, sounds like to me, like very low risk. Is there any contracts involved, long-term contracts, anything like that?
No. So that was one way I operated. My wife's an attorney. So when I was running my own agency, we went deep into thinking through the legal components of this, and do we have a contract? Do we not have a contract? If we do, what do we have in it? All that. And even as an agency owner, I decided we're not going to have contracts, because ultimately it comes down to, am I really going to file a lawsuit in a court of law against a former client who has stopped paying me and has breached the contract, right? And the answer to that, in like 99% of every case that I could imagine in my mind, was emphatically no. We're not going to waste our time, our money, to go after a client who maybe has stiffed us for $2 or $3 or $5 grand.
Yeah.
So because of that, I said, well, if that's the case, then we're not going to have a signed written contract. Why even have that as a barrier if we're really never going to follow through on it anyway?
Gotcha.
So
that's
we
beautiful.
Just carried that over into our agency, our white label agency fulfillment too. We don't have any contracts. It's just a 30-day notice on all campaigns. We have that as a just no barrier entry.
So, and then if I'm like an agency owner who's starting out, and I need some web development, a la carte web stuff done, am I still able to come to you and just get those projects done initially and then kind of go from there?
Yes, absolutely. So we do white label website development, and then we do white label SEO, PPC, and social to a smaller extent. But it's really websites, SEO, and PPC are kind of our main three, because that's the main three that most agencies either are or should be focusing on, because that's what moves the needle and drives the money into the majority of businesses out there that they're serving. So
very, very simple process. You can just onboard a client, show them what you guys are all about by starting out a small project or a campaign, and take it from there. And as they grow, you're kind of there to support them for throughout their growth process. So this is amazing. I think very simple, low-key sales process. And no contracts, right? Who could have thought?
No contracts, no, like we don't require you bring in like at least 5 clients or at least 10 clients to start with us.
Nice.
I look more for the right people to do business with, more than the right like logistical situation. Like I just look for great people, and everything else works out, whether it's 1 or 5 or 10 together, or one today and one a month from now, or whatever it is, whatever the volume or cadence is really secondary or insignificant to us, really.
And I think that's a very important point that you just raised there, that, as we're building out our agencies, it's really important to, have a filter for the type of clients we decide to work with as well, right? Because if that's not going, you can have a solid team, you can have a really great culture, but if the type of clients you keep bringing in bring everybody down with them, those are not the people we want to bring, right? And I think that's what I'm seeing here, Lane, that on your marketing strategy, on your sales strategy. That's you have these filters in place where you're going to be able to go out and help out people without asking anything in return, and you're going to have no contract sales processes, but you're going to have these human filters in place. The human element is really alive there. So amazing. How about once you've brought onboarded them, who takes care of the clients? Do you have like account managers? What's going on there? Because you obviously want to retain clients as long
Yeah.
as possible.
Yeah, that's a good question. We have an account management team. I've got 3 with a 4th one who does some overfill, full-time account managers. That's all they do is account management for our agency partners. So when an agency partner brings on at least their first campaign with us or first project, they get assigned to one of the account managers, and then that is a dedicated person for them to just help them with any campaigns or projects that they park with us.
Hmm.
I also have a full-time quality assurance manager who is simply there to monitor and work with all team leads and all work product that we put out to ensure a high level of quality. That's one of the things that I would say are really unique and different about us is we have a it's not just a buzzword. I mean, I have a very hard focus on quality. And when
Hmm.
I say quality, not just quality today, but consistent, predictable quality. And that
Hmm.
means we have a high focus on our systems. And I have a quality assurance manager who is really, Greg's his name. This is his world. Like he's really good at that. And so that's how we keep our agencies and our clients, or there
Hmm.
to help them keep their clients is because, we've all seen it. You got either a white label partner or you have an employee if you have your own internal team. And let's just call it, say it's a writer, and they put out crappy
Hmm.
content, continuously for a client, you're going to lose that client. They're going to, at some point, they're going to just say, we're done. We're not paying anymore for this level of content. It's a bad representation of our business and our brand, and we're not going to do it anymore. And so
Hmm.
we're cognizant, because I've been in the shoes of an agency dealing with the client and having to receive those client calls going, this article sucks. Well, how can you
Hmm.
possibly publish this
Yeah.
around
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
company, and
Yeah.
the embarrassment that you have as an agency owner when that happens.
Hmm.
So I'm sensitive to it. We dive deep on quality. We have a high level of communication, customer service, and quality. Those are really what separate us from a lot of other white label agencies is we're not just focused on being the cheapest guy in the block, because I know that
Hmm.
the cheapest guy in the block will lose you and your client
Yeah.
because of a lack of quality and a lack of consistency.
And one more question around the account managers, Lane, like what's the workload like? Like how, because I know a lot of us use account managers to kind of manage our agencies,
Mhm.
like, and everyone has a different set of accounts that they manage. How's your account managers? What are they averaging per account manager?
Uh, it depends on the type of agency that they have, because one agency could bring in one new client a month, and I have
Hmm.
some that could bring in 5 to 10. So
Hmm.
that varies there. Because so with an agent, most of our account managers are going to have between 10 and 20 agencies.
Wow, that's amazing, man. And I think that's also very like you said, it's respective to the size of the agency as well. If the agency is growing fast, then that account manager could have less. And I've seen a client who has their value of their clients is so high that they have one account manager manage only 2 to 3 accounts.
Right.
And so I've seen that as well. And I've also seen up to 30 accounts per account manager as well. So
Right.
you're kind of like in there, and because you guys have bigger accounts, you guys are still on the lower end of that, and which makes sense. So obviously that's huge. So you don't have to worry too much about once the clients have been onboarded. You guys have an amazing team taking care of them, so
Right.
you're not getting a
Yeah,
call.
that's what I was going to add on to it, is that our account managers are really just doing communications and communication management between
Hmm.
our fulfillment team and the agency partner for the
Hmm.
campaigns that they have. That's all they do. They're not doing work on that
Hmm.
campaign or any of the campaigns. They are interfacing with our team leads, and our team leads are managing the people who are actually doing the work for each campaign. So
And it's
that's
really
really broken down in a systemized way so that the account managers can handle more than what they might in a normal circumstance.
Yeah, I feel that the account managers are really like upholding the expectations on both sides, on the team side and the
Yes.
client side, on a constant. And it's a lot of work to do that. So, as we all know. So, and if it's done properly, I've seen agencies thrive really, really well. And I think the other thing that you've done on your operation side is that you've focused so much on quality that these processes are now easy to implement and have the clients taken care of, because you have that quality assurance manager, because you've been through being an agency owner. Those things are like really, really dialed in, so when these clients come in, retention is not an issue. That's great story, Lane. I feel that we touched up on a lot of things over here. I think we're going to be talking to each other a lot more. We're going to be seeing each other a lot more in the future as well. And for any agency owner, I think this is a great option, especially when you want to be able to rely on professionals who've been there, done that, and things like that, right? And you just come and you don't avoid mistakes like I made, right? For the last 12 years, go to Lane and get your agency off the ground or start growing your agency, right? You don't have to worry about the deliverability of all the services that you're going to be offering.
Yeah, I mean, if I could do it all over again, I would find a solid white label partner that I could lean on until I scaled my sales past 50K a month in recurring revenue.
Hmm.
That's the beauty of a white label partner, is you can just park and let them do all the heavy lifting and fulfillment while you just focus on
Yeah.
the next sale, and perfecting that sales system, because sales is the lifeblood of every agency, and fulfillment will absolutely bog you down, and get you really stuck, and it just kills sales momentum. So if you're doing both fulfillment and sales and you're trying to jump between
Yeah.
the two, that is
Well,
that's a rat race that you'll never get out of.
that's a perfect end to our call, because I was going to ask you for one tip for a budding agency owner, and I think that's the perfect tip right there. That lean on a strong fulfillment partner like Lane at the Quantum Agency. Get your agency off the ground, and get to that $50,000 mark. And even then, I feel that having a partner, like Lane's, I think you can really specialize. You can let them do the heavy lifting as you continue to grow to $1 million and beyond. So thanks for having being on the show, Lane. It
Yeah,
was a
thank you.
pleasure talking to you, my man.
You too, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and hope we got some value out of the time together. I did, for you, for sure. Enjoyed meeting you in Tampa, getting to speak with you a little bit there, and hopefully look forward to seeing you in November too.
Yeah, sounds good, Lane. Thanks a lot. We'll talk soon.
Appreciate it. Take care.